episode number 16 of the SwanBank podcast. We hope you're excited to be here. I'm joined, as I am most weeks, by the very wonderful Kathryn Stevens. Kathryn, how are you?
I am on top form today, Sam. Top form. I am.
Wow.
Yes, all is
What's
good.
happened to put you on top form?
Well, the sun's shining.
I told you summer had
You've got your
arrived.
shorts on. You've got your legs out.
Last week I announced that summer had arrived, and here is the proof.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that is good. That is temperature is up.
Happy days.
And almost get out in the garden for my tea.
Almost.
Not quite, but almost. How about you? How are you?
Doing all right.
Good.
Not too bad. I don't feel like much has gone on this week.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't really know.
It's because I had 2 days off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. It's all a bit. The pace is a bit slower around here when
I'm off.
When you're off, yeah. Yeah, it's all a bit more relaxed. I'd say less productive.
Oh,
possibly.
Oh, it's like that, is it?
I think so.
Okay.
We have fun when you're not here. It's good.
Maybe I need to do some spot checks.
Honestly, I don't think you'd be surprised at what you found.
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
it might be that you're off or Alison. It could be either of you. Do you know what I mean?
That's true. But even when we're here, there's still shenanigans goes on sometimes.
There are always
in the
shenanigans.
Office.
Yeah.
So our listeners will not know that last week, Janet Bagnall was in doing some pastoral updates on the computer, and Alison was in the office, and I had just popped my head into the office from my office, and Sam shouted Jan's name at the top of his voice, and we all leapt.
Did you?
We did. We did.
I was just being friendly.
Yeah.
I was just happy to see you. I don't think she was very happy to see me at that point, but we're all friends now. It's all fun. It's all
Very
fun.
Good.
What's been your favourite SwanBank shenanigan since you've been here? Because you've been here a while now. Part of the furniture.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say, to be honest. I'm not allowed to say, actually. Because because some people weren't very happy. So.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Should we go second favourite?
Second favourite, then.
I think I know what you're talking about. It actually came up in conversation on Tuesday night, actually.
Did it really?
It did, yeah.
Yeah, it was when Sam was away from youth club and me and
you
Tom
were left
Hall
in
were in charge.
Say no more.
All went pear-shaped. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah. There's all sorts. I mean, we did have a very good game of impromptu cricket in the office once using...
Yeah.
I don't know what we were using.
I don't know.
So, I don't know.
I think Phoebe was here. I don't really know if Phoebe was here.
Was it a packet of biscuits?
Maybe.
Or something else? James Adams, as in Dr. James, was at the centre of the shenanigans.
Always.
I mean, he's not here very often, but whenever he's here,
you always remember it when he does turn up. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Dear.
Yeah.
I always remember seeing a very different side of you when we went axe throwing together. that was an awakening.
I was quite good at it.
You were.
Thank you.
You were. It was quite something to watch, I'll say. Yeah.
Yeah, watch out, everybody. I'm really lethal.
Some
with
real
an axe.
venom with your axe throwing. Hey,
gosh.
what's been happening since last we met?
Since last we met, we had Pentecost Sunday.
We did. We had a whale of a time.
We had a good time, but we couldn't get outside.
Couldn't get
Although
outside.
I did preach from outside on the morning.
You did?
So that was good to be outside. Because I think Pentecost is about... It's not being about being behind closed doors, is it?
No.
It's being out there.
No.
But the weather was a bit pants.
It was poo, wasn't it? It was absolute poo.
It really was. So we ended up having to meet inside. But it was good.
We had a good time.
Yeah. It was, which is great. And I've had 2 days off to meet with my mum and dad.
Nice. How are they?
They are very well.
Are they?
Yes, they are.
Good.
They are. Yeah. My mum and dad think you're a bit of a tinker.
A tinker? Great. I'm not surprised.
Oh, dear. So
I don't think I'd do anything that your dad wouldn't do in the same situation.
No.
So I feel okay about it.
Absolutely. My dad was a bit of a lad.
Bit of a tinker.
He was.
What's your favourite Bob Rogers story that you can share?
Oh.
Because he's got off quite lightly from your story sharing about your parents thus far.
That is true. I'm not sure if he's done. I mean, he was just a bit. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't like he didn't misbehave or anything. I don't think too much. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. I don't know.
He probably just got away with it.
Probably.
If he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Turned the charm on and he
Maybe.
always forgiven.
Maybe. I mean, if you look at my mum and dad's wedding photos, I think my dad was 12 when he got married. He looks like he's about 12. He does. It's like he must have just come out of primary school and then got married.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Classic Bob.
There you go.
Hey. Have you made the most of being able to go around to people's houses, meet up outside? I
have done a couple of home pastoral visits.
Nice. Very nice.
That's been really good that I've been able to do that. But I did meet my mum and dad for 2 days this week, which was really nice. Nice to spend a bit of quality time with them.
Nice.
So that was great. And
where did you go?
Leeds. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
would you recommend it?
I mean, I like Leeds. Have you been to Leeds?
I don't think I have, you know.
It's a quite nice city, really.
Oh,
so yeah. So that was nice at Leeds. A good place to go. The weather wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Quite rainy, really.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. But we went to a hotel, I've been to that hotel before, actually.
Okay.
It was really nice. And the food was really good.
Okay.
The last time I went.
Oh. Is this
Shall
like
I tell you about
hotel horror story?
It was like Fawlty Towers.
No way.
It was like Fawlty Towers.
I absolutely love Fawlty Towers.
I don't like it.
Really?
Do you know what? It stresses me out. I'm like so stressed out about it. It's not relaxing at all.
Yeah. I love all that era of stuff.
Oh,
like
dear.
Fawlty Towers, yeah. Dad's Army. Absolutely love it.
Have you watched Some Mothers Do Have 'Em?
No.
Oh, you see, that's like Fawlty Towers. That's like real slapstick, and I just hate it. It's got that guy who sings.
That guy who sings.
Yeah, he's like done some
Singing.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Right.
Michael Crawford.
Okay.
Michael Crawford. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, not a clue.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's quite an old one. I think it's 70s maybe.
Okay.
I think.
Great.
But it stresses you. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. You will not be relaxed. You'll be like so stressed by the end of it.
Wow.
So
Manuel.
you'll need to listen to some relaxation music on Alexa after you've watched it. But yeah, it was like Fawlty Towers. So we particularly the restaurant was just ridiculous. And I feel quite sorry for them because I think what's happened is they've lost all of their regular staff. And so they've had to find new staff.
Okay.
Quite frankly, they haven't trained them properly. I mean, I'm not an expert in the hospitality industry, as you will know. But there were times when I just wanted to say, just get your staff together. Just have a little chat with them.
Oh, okay.
And I can give you some pointers.
Right.
Because we ended up basically serving ourselves.
Wow. I mean, that's not great.
I mean, at one point...
hotel experience.
No, at one point, my dad had a steak in the evening.
Nice. Fancy.
And the guy said, I'll get you a steak knife. So he took my dad's knife away, and literally 10 minutes later, my dad was eating his steak off his fork. He was like biting bits, gnawing bits of steak off his fork.
Oh, no.
That every table around us had an issue.
Wow.
So we were still halfway through our starters when they brought our main course out.
Absolutely brilliant.
Put it on like a big tray next to us. Sat for about 5 minutes, and then the guy said, I'll take your food back in, shall I? And I'm like, yeah, because we're still eating our starters. Then we finished our starters like about 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
And then it took 15 minutes to bring the food out. Same food came out. So they'd just been, like all the peas were like, when they like shrivel up because they've been under the hot lamp. I had a burger, so the bun was like,
nasty.
Like just like sawdust by the end.
Wow.
Every table had an issue. Every table. I mean, some it took them over an hour to get any course at all. There's a table next to us, 2 men, 2 women. They had almost 3 of them had finished their main course when the one woman was still waiting for her main course.
No way.
So they brought it out and it was the wrong food. So she says, that's not what I ordered. So, and it just went on. It was farcical, Sam.
Absolute farcical.
So they've got in the hotel saying in your room, we've taken extra precautions to make sure your room is extra clean. If you've got any issues, please let us know. Do you know what was under one of our chairs? You'll never guess.
I'm not sure I want to know, really.
A piece of bacon.
No way?
Yeah.
A single piece of bacon?
A single piece of bacon.
Cooked or raw?
It was cooked.
Streaky?
Yes.
Ooh.
Only a small
Smoked?
bit. It wasn't a whole rasher.
Oh, right, okay.
It was like a bit. Like
Tasty?
10-piece coin. Well, because breakfast was so poor, I did actually think we should have reserved that piece of bacon to share between the four of us.
Rinse it off.
It'll be fine. Just get the bits of flour off and it will be absolutely fine. You know,
Wow.
and you don't talk about like the 5-second rule with that food.
Oh,
You just like think
wow.
it could have been there a few weeks really, but it'll be all right. So
Anyway.
yeah. So breakfast, you ended up just seeing, is there any juice anywhere? Is there any like spare cups that we could nick from another table?
Was there any juice anywhere?
There was. Lloyd managed to find some
Good old Lloyd.
from somewhere else, so he brought that across. Yeah.
What a treat.
I got the last of the beans.
Did you?
Me dad missed out. 'Cause
No.
there's no beans left for me dad.
Absolutely got it. Did you go, was it full English?
It was.
What did you go, what is on your ideal full
So,
English?
right, so that's quite particular this. So
Okay.
you have your
I'm not
cereal.
surprised.
Have your cereal first.
Interesting.
But crunchy nut cornflakes are just a bit too sweet. So you share one packet of crunchy nut cornflakes, one
Okay.
packet of cornflakes, and you mix them.
Right. So you have to have a willing partner in
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
Is Lloyd willing, or do you just force it upon him?
is he's learned to love it, Sam. He's learned to love it. So both mornings we shared our cornflake stroke
Right.
crunchy nut combo,
Okay.
and then there was supposed to be like some little like things of fresh fruit,
Oh, yeah.
but there was all that like
Oh, so you
are
go
gone.
like all in on a
there's no
hotel
bread.
breakfast.
There's no bread left.
Right.
I mean, this is a four-star hotel.
Wow.
No bread. There were croissants, but seriously, you could have thrown them like a boomerang and they would have taken someone's head off.
Right.
And they had burnt bottoms.
Nightmare.
And but then went on to your cooked breakfast. So you just have one of everything, don't you? So fried egg or scrambled
talk me
egg.
through what would be your ideal.
Right. So I chose. It was fried egg, scrambled egg. I chose fried egg because I only
Okay.
like my own scrambled egg. I'm very particular about my
Oh,
scrambled
okay.
egg. So, yeah. So, fried egg, one rasher bacon, one sausage well done.
Okay. Let's take a step back. Bacon,
Yeah.
crispy,
Yeah, much prefer
streaky, or back bacon.
In an ideal world, crispy, streaky bacon would
Okay.
be mine.
Smoked, unsmoked.
I like smoked,
Oh,
actually.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it wasn't.
A
It was
well
just-
done sausage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't like pink sausages.
I mean, obviously it's going to be cooked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's serving pink sausages to you?
They weren't cooked very well at all. So I did actually say, "Can I have that well done one there, please?" And then you could choose. And then there was obviously field mushrooms, which is nice.
Field mushrooms.
Yes, I had a field mushroom.
What on earth is a field mushroom?
Like a big mushroom.
Just a big mushroom.
Yeah, field mushrooms.
Don't all mushrooms grow in fields?
But I don't know, do they?
Or
know.
certainly they grow in the outside.
Well,
don't
field
they?
mushrooms definitely grow in
Okay.
fields. I know that much. So field mushroom, tomatoes. I don't like tomatoes, so I didn't have those.
Okay.
But I had beans.
Okay.
Oh, and hash brown.
Hash brown. Interesting.
And then mixed toast. You know, you ask for some mixed toast, don't you?
So poor Lloyd has to have half the cereal he actually wants, and then half the toast he actually wants, because you want the other half.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's
Black
happy.
pudding?
There wasn't black pudding.
Oh, would you if it was
No.
available?
No, Lloyd had already said I'm gonna have your black pudding, but there wasn't any black pudding, so he didn't even
Wow.
have his own.
No way.
No. Why would you want to eat like compressed blood?
It's
really?
very good. It's very, very good.
Good, as in.
Well, it's just like an extra tasty sausage.
There's something wrong with eating blood.
You don't think, oh, this is a lovely mouthful of pig's blood.
That's probably what I
lovely.
would think if I was eating it.
Ah, fun fact: Rachel Edelson, not Edelson anymore.
Rachel
Cooper, is from Bury, which is the
Yeah.
home of
the black
the
pudding.
black pudding and the
Yeah.
spade.
And the spade.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
That's where the spade was invented.
Have you ever had white pudding?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I don't really know what it is or how they make it differently. But it's tasty.
Got barley in it.
Has it?
I think so. Or maybe
Alright.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about, Sam.
Is that because I think that's like a Scottish thing? I think.
Well, I used to have it as a child, and I think it might have been a Scottish thing. But we did a lot of Scottish stuff because we're like on the border, like Northumberland and everything. Yeah. So my grandma used to go to the butcher's on a Friday and buy some white pudding, and I used to have some of that. And the white pudding I remember looks a bit different. So it was darker in colour than the white pudding you sometimes get, but it had bits of barley in.
Oh, interesting.
It was nice, actually.
No way.
I remember it being nice. Bread and butter, ketchup. Nice.
Well, if you're listening in the morning and we've accompanied you in your breakfast, we hope you've enjoyed that little segment. We are going to jump off the back of your dodgy hotel experience, aren't we?
Yes.
To get into our topic of conversation for today.
Yes.
Before we talk about bacon and black pudding for the rest of the time.
So do you know what I was thinking?
What were you thinking?
I was thinking, right, you go to a posh hotel. If it's lovely to be able to do so, and I know not everybody can.
Yeah,
so I'm really grateful. But part of the experience of going to a posh hotel is that you actually get served. You don't have to cook your food yourself. You don't have to set the table. You don't have to tidy up after. That's one of the nice things about doing that. But we found that we had to do all the things that you shouldn't really have to do. But kind of when you think about being people of faith, actually, there are times when I think sometimes we can slip into the mistake of becoming consumers of the church, rather than partners, rather than sharing in the work of the church. And our calling is to do the latter, not to do the former. So it just led me to think about the challenge of making sure we actually play our part within the life of the church rather than just consume. Yeah,
and I think the consuming thing has been made much easier for people to slip into as a result of the way we've had to do church, isn't it? Because it's literally you rock up, turn your TV on for 45 minutes, turn it off again, and that's it. Yeah. There's something about being able to come to the building that makes you more of a participant and a partner in it, because you see what's going on and you see the obvious ways to join in, whereas it's become a lot more consumer church, hasn't it, in lots of ways.
It has. It's quite interesting because I had a couple of conversations with a couple of people, not from this church actually, who've been faithful church attenders, a faithful Christian, real vibrant faith and stuff, who've said, I'm not sure I want to go back to church.
Interesting.
And that's been quite interesting. And so I did a bit of unpicking with them. Now, the church that they're part of is going through some real difficulties at the moment. It's not in this area at all. It's in a different part of the UK. But it led me to, if we all chose to withdraw from the life of the church, then what does that mean about our calling to be church together? That actually it's part of God's plan for us to be a faith community together, and so if people choose to withdraw from that, then for me a holistic Christian faith has to include being part of a church community, I think.
Yeah, and actually that's how God has chosen to relate to us as people, is he's chosen to partner with us, and that's the story of that's actually the whole of God's story, is God choosing person after person to partner with, whether that be Abraham, Moses, David, all the way through to the disciples, and then Paul and folk from throughout the New Testament. That's the model. It's not saying like, I'm God and I'm going to put on a show for you to watch, and then carry on with your lives like nothing's happened. It's a call to an active participation in it, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's really interesting because this Sunday is Trinity Sunday, and actually we've got
good link.
Thank you very much, Sam. We've got the complexity of one God, but three in one in three, and actually when we look at the work of the Trinity, then there is that sense in that it's quite a hard concept for us to grasp, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there is something about the work of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit that is a work of community.
Yeah, definitely.
Whilst recognizing one God.
Yeah.
So even from even from the beginning, even if we go back to Genesis, we hear about the Holy Spirit hovering over the waters at creation.
Yeah.
So that's the partnering of the work of one God, but coming with different attributes, maybe.
Yeah, and that's the classic image, isn't it? If that's the classic design of the church, is it's built of people who aren't all the same, who don't come all with the same identity or personality or set of gifts.
Mm-hmm.
But what we see from the New Testament is, if we move on from the Pentecost conversation last week, there's a big wave of the Holy Spirit, falling of the Holy Spirit that comes, and out of that is born a community of believers who, it talks about, they had everything in common, and they shared everything they had, and they got stuck in to life together. They didn't just sit back and let everyone else do it for them. It was, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to do this together, and I'm going to have to be a partner in this. And I wonder if, because at that point in time there wasn't a paid minister and a paid worship leader, whatever, and and that's just the sort of church culture we've developed into. But I wonder if that has had an impact maybe on people's the consumer partner attitude, maybe.
I think sometimes we've professionalized Christian service in some way that can become a bit unhealthy. So we've got to be really careful to recognise that we're all partners in the work of God, and whether we're in a really lovely position like you and I are to be financially supported to be able to serve God and God's church full time, which is a really lovely place to be, or whether we we're out in the world and we're serving God in our workplace or in our home life, and also choosing to give time and energy to the life of the church and the building of God's kingdom through the church. Then both I think are valid place to be, and it comes down to calling.
Yeah, definitely.
What's not a valid place to be is to drop into church every now and again for a bit of a knees up, a bit of a jolly, and
not let it impact on your life outside of this building as well, doesn't it? And it's interesting. I think the more time we spend here, and the more time we spend reflecting on what is it that God calling us to do, and who is it God calling us to be as a church here, the more our jobs actually become about working out how we can link people up to serve together, and how we can partner with people to do the kingdom stuff here, and pulling together people with different gifts, and how is that going to meet a need that a person in our community has, or of our church or of Burslem. It's all about partnerships, really, isn't it? It's all about linking people up with one another and with God to fulfill where we believe God's calling us to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes we can complicate it more than we need to. With programs and strategies, and there's nothing wrong with programs and strategies actually, but if it becomes all about that, and we forget that at the basic level, it's about being out there. It's about being out there. It's about being in the communities where God's put us. It's about having the ordinary and extraordinary conversations that come along. It's about being confident to share our faith and what Jesus means to us in the everyday of our lives. That's the stuff of the kingdom. It's about sharing the love of Jesus in word and in action. And we don't need a massive program or strategy to do that. That's actually the basic stuff of who we are. And I think sometimes, and that's why I think every now and again it's really important. Certainly for me, it's really important for me to just remind myself of the basics of who I am.
I think one of the things that this time has done is push the responsibility onto individuals to go out of their way a little more to seek after God or to follow Jesus. Because I think it's, for a lot of people, church going is a habitual thing. So you go on a Sunday because it's what you do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good habit to have. We want to encourage that habit. But when that habit is taken away, I know a lot of people have struggled with, well, how do we build different habits to fill this time? And when the responsibility is put onto just you on your own, we
Yeah.
remember actually the importance of being part of a church, because we recognise how hard following Jesus by ourselves
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
When the gathering is taken away, when the community, the physical community is
Yeah.
taken away, like
Yeah.
you forget how well designed this whole
Yes.
thing is to be a community of believers with, one in heart and mind and purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have had conversations with a variety of people over this time, and some who have still felt really connected
Yeah.
with with SwanBank through the stuff that we've put out.
Yeah.
Whether it's been our Bible studies, our newsletters, our
Excellent podcast.
our excellent podcast, our streaming of services, our at home sheets, our telephone call, whatever it's been,
Yeah.
and it felt really well connected. But I have had a conversation with some others who've said I feel really disconnected, and so I said, oh, have you not been receiving our news? Oh yeah, I've received it, but I haven't looked at it. Have you been tuning into our services? Well, I haven't really, and I've thought, well, it works both ways actually. I don't mean to be harsh when I say that, but we are not we're not spoon feeding people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know, our Christian walk, we are responsible for one another and for our own walk with God as well. So the responsibility lies on both sides.
Yeah.
For us to, as a church, to be able to offer, love and care and resourcing and spiritual nourishment and all that kind of thing. But actually to put ourselves in the place where we are ready to engage with that and receive it and put ourselves out there to partner in that.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's not going to work if it's just one-sided.
Yeah. It's really interesting for me how powerfully the Hebrew stuff we've been doing has spoken into all of that.
Yeah.
Really, because it's about taking seriously your walk with Jesus, on that like personal responsibility level.
Yeah.
But also recognizing that actually it's not going to be easy all the time.
Yes.
And so let's hold one another as we try our best to journey.
Yes.
Further and further and closer towards God, and that for me speaks into exactly where we find ourselves.
Yeah.
Now we've got to take really seriously our own walks with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Recognise that even though we can't be physically together, we can still engage together and do it together to some extent, and we hold each other as we try and do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because for a whole bunch of people, this is this end bit has been really tough.
I think
for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think this post-Christmas stretch.
Yeah, I mean,
really
in our
hard
home
for
group,
people.
every week at the moment, we go around and we ask people for what do you want us to pray for you for, and it's work is really tough, family stuff's really tough. There's all sorts of stuff that is just hard at the moment.
Yeah.
And I wonder if part of that's because the end feels really close, but also feels like you can't quite grab hold of it, and there's that sort of weird in-between thing going on.
Yeah.
But that's where the being together and being in community becomes even more important. I know if I'm able to share with our small group something that's going on for me, the fact that they're praying is such an encouragement.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're able to then check in, and the next week it might be that, there's a prayer that's answered. Like, how amazing is that?
And that's one of the big benefits of being part of a small group, isn't it?
For sure.
And obviously we're hoping to build up our small group. Well, we're in the process of building up our small groups at the moment. But even that's proven to be quite difficult at the minute, isn't it? Because, getting people to volunteer for different roles is challenging. And it's challenging any time. But in a pandemic, it's even more challenging, because I think for a number of people, they've just got the energy to get through each day.
Yeah.
And I get that. So in a sense, with we might have a particular pace that we want to go, but I think what my reflection has been on some of that is that we have to go at the pace that we're able to as a church at the moment, and so for a couple of things we've had to just pull back the pace a little bit to make sure that we can be most effective and fruitful in what we're doing. But I think now more than ever is a time for us to recognise that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. That certainly for those of us from SwanBank who are listening to this podcast, God's called us to be part of church with one another. Others who are tuning in, who might be part of a church, think about your own setting, where God's calling you, what God's calling you to in that. But I think for a lot of people as well, Sam, I think it's been a time for people to reassess where they want to put their time and energy in terms of service, Christian service, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think that for too long people have plugged gaps, and I don't think that's what God calls us to do either.
No.
So yeah, it's a bit of a challenging time, but actually really quite exciting.
For sure.
As well.
For sure. And as always, we are well up for conversations about how people can partner with in terms of being part of what we're doing here at SwanBank. So if you're one of those people who has been taking some time to reassess what your Christian service looks like, then be in touch. We'd love to have a conversation and see what that gets to.
Great.
Before we close, we've had some mixed reviews, I would say, about the little update videos that have become part and parcel of our week-to-week activity at SwanBank. And so I would just personally like to say to all those people who've been very rude about the size of my head that I hear all of those, and I've taken very personal offence at those. So if you could be just a little more careful with your words in future, that'd be much appreciated. Kathryn, you've come off a lot better, I think, than I have in these videos. Great.
I'm perfectly happy with them.
As I think we've said before, we were compared to Phil and Holly off this morning and Boris Johnson, all in the same comment stream on the same video. So
we were.
There we go.
Who was Boris? Were you Boris?
Well, I'm not the one with blonde curly hair. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
So, if you want to see more of our entertaining, hilarious update videos, follow us on Facebook or on Instagram. And have you got anything else to say?
I've got a really important question to ask before you say goodbye.
Oh, gosh.
So you're on holiday for a couple of weeks.
Know what you're going to do?
Are we having a break?
What do you want to do?
Well, I don't know. We haven't talked about it, really.
This is literally our planning meeting for the podcast for the next 2 weeks. This is behind the scenes.
Well, you've got to talk me through what
we can do one next week, as long as we do it.
Oh, we'll do it early
on
next
Tuesday,
week, and then we'll have a little break.
We can have a week off, and then we'll be back for the one after.
Great.
Unless you want to do it.
Well, I'm not really sure how to operate that whole thing going on over there.
Okay.
We'll see.
Fine. All right. So, we'll be back next week with another episode of the SwanBank podcast. If you're enjoying listening to these, we'd love to hear from you. And if you're not enjoying them, then feel free to steer clear. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, have a great week. God bless.
Bye.
See you soon.